After 3 years of secretly dating, my actor boyfriend broke up with me. He said I wasn't good enough for him. I'm just a no-name reality TV director whose shows barely got any attention. I wasn't useful to his career. The next thing I knew, he was cozying up to a rising starlet, hitching a ride on her wave of fame. The very next day, before my show even started production, it was buried under a storm of online hate. Fine. If that's how it's going to be, no one's walking away unscathed. I flipped the script and launched a live-streaming drama revolution, blowing the entire entertainment industry wide open. Chapter 1. Riley. Several big-name actors turned down our offers. The network execs want you to drop by their office. Also, Ashley, my Israelitan director, handed me her phone. Take a look at this headline. The screen displayed a trending news article. Actor Finn Logan spotted entering actress Caroline Jenner's car late at night. The two drove into a gated community, and Finn hasn't been seen leaving. The words hit me like a lightning bolt. My chest tightened as if needles were stabbing my heart. For 3 years, Finn and I had been in a secret relationship. I kept everything low-key for his sake, never doing anything that might cause trouble. He was so careful about keeping up appearances that sometimes we wouldn't see each other for an entire month. He had promised me that if we worked hard for a few more years, saved enough money, and built stable careers, we could finally go public. He said he'd step out of the spotlight and fully support my work. I wasn't naive enough to believe in fairy tales, but I wanted to believe in him. Yet promises are as fragile as soap bubbles. Last night, he suddenly broke up with me. When I demanded to know why, he admitted he'd been tired of me for a while. He'd only kept things going because he needed time to find someone new. He mocked me, saying I'd been directing reality TV for years and still hadn't made a name for myself. He called me a nobody, someone who couldn't help his career and only held him back. The idea of going public with me, he said, was laughable, a pipe dream. Before leaving, he packed up the last gift he had ever given me, as if to erase all traces of our relationship. He didn't even look back, as though he couldn't wait to cut me out of his life for good. I had guessed that he must have already set his sights on someone else, but I didn't expect him to flaunt it so quickly. The same night he left my house, he couldn't reach Riley using the media to make his new relationship public. Riley, are you okay? Ashley placed a hand on my shoulder, her voice soft with concern. We weren't just colleagues, we'd been close friends for years. She knew everything about me, including the messy truth behind my breakup. I'm fine, I said, standing up. I'll go see the execs now. 2. The executive's office. As soon as I walked in, I noticed the woman behind the desk didn't look pleased. She was breathing heavily, a file folder sitting open in front of her. Riley, you're here. Take a seat. I pulled out the chair and sat down. She exhaled deeply before continuing. You've been one of our senior directors for years. The network has always trusted your abilities. But how could you do something like this? She slammed the folder onto the desk. The sharp sound echoed in the room, making me flinch slightly. Confused, I picked up the folder and scanned the contents. It was a collection of printed screenshots, leaks and negative comments about the reality show I was directing, which hadn't even aired yet. What's going on? I wasn't famous, and my projects typically didn't attract much attention. Why was this show, which hadn't even premiered, suddenly at the center of so much controversy? Look, she said, crossing her arms, her tone sharp. We know the shows you've worked on over the years haven't been the most popular, but you've always been diligent, and we've recognized your hard work. This new season is based on an IP that had huge success last year. The network is counting on this to be a hit. Her voice grew louder, frustration boiling over. But that doesn't mean you can break privacy agreements and leak internal information to the media just to drum up hype. I understood why she'd think that. There were only a handful of people who had access to the show's details. Jenna, I swear it wasn't me. Give me a few days, and I'll find out who's behind this. Give you time, she snapped. Who's giving me time? Do you have any idea how tight our schedule is? This show has to air soon. We don't have the luxury of waiting for you to solve your little mystery. Her expression hardened further. Get in touch with the actors immediately. The new season needs to start filming now. 3. I stumbled out of the XX office in a daze and saw Ashley waiting for me at the corner of the hallway. "You okay?" I paused for a moment, then shook my head. There was no point in dumping more of my negative emotions on her. She'd already heard enough of my complaints. Did everyone we contacted turn us down? Yep. Ashley walked alongside me, holding a list of potential actors. There were 2 who seemed interested at first, but when they found out we were doing a live broadcast, they hung up immediately. No matter how much we tried to convince them afterward, they wouldn't budge. The show I was working on, King of Acting? It was the network's newest hit reality series. The first season had been a massive success, filled with viral moments and memorable performances. It had made waves online, drawing audiences who loved seeing actors reenact iconic scenes from classic movies and TV shows. A nostalgic trip through pop culture. Even if the actors flubbed their lines or botched their performances live, everything was edited to perfection by the time it aired. The show had been handed to me only because the previous director had left, and no one else had time to take it on. But I didn't want to just replicate the same formula. I wanted to push boundaries to create something new. That's when I came up with the idea of a live, unedited performance, showing the audience the raw, unfiltered reality of acting in real time. "Riley, maybe we should just stick to the old format," Ashley said, her brows furrowed. "The network's breathing down our necks. If we keep going like this, we won't have anything to show." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. "Hello." A high-pitched, slightly smug voice came through the line. "Oh wow, has the great director forgotten my voice already? No wonder you couldn't even keep your boyfriend around. Guess you're not good at much, huh?" I recognized it immediately. "Caroline. What do you want?" "Oh, nothing much. Just wanted to say sorry. If this is about Finn, don't bother." No, it's not about him," she said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "It's about your new show. Finn mentioned it during dinner the other day, and I might have casually brought it up at a party with some media friends. You know how these things spread. I saw the news earlier. Your show's not getting great buzz. I feel so bad about that. Really, I do." Her words reeked of insincerity, and there wasn't a trace of actual remorse in her tone. "Thanks, Caroline. If that's all, I'm hanging up now." I didn't have time to waste on her. This was a critical moment for the show. I couldn't let personal drama distract me. "Ashley," I said, turning to her, "get me the list of other actors we were considering. I'll meet with them myself." 4. "Oh, Riley, it's not that we don't want to help," the agent said with a forced smile as he escorted me out of the office. "It's just that Shauna's not available right now. She's off today, no shoots, probably out shopping or something. We really don't know where she is." I sighed and sat down on the steps outside the building. The early summer sun blazed overhead, bathing everything in warm light. But I felt cold, as if the brightness couldn't reach me. This was the 3rd talent agency I'd visited today, and all 3 had turned me down. So far, I haven't even been able to meet with a single actor from my shortlist. As I sat there, someone suddenly plopped down beside me. I turned to see the same agent who had just rejected me. "Riley," he began in a low voice, glancing around as if afraid someone might overhear. "We've known each other a long time, right? So I'm going to be honest with you." I nodded silently, waiting for him to continue. "Take a break from this show for a few days. Seriously, right now, no one's going to agree to work with you." He sighed, meeting my eyes. "Look, we've both been in this industry long enough to know how things work. You've upset someone powerful, haven't you? You know exactly who I'm talking about. We can't fight them, but we can avoid them. Why not just back off for now?" With that, he stood, dusted off his pants, and walked back into the building. His words confirmed what I had already suspected. This entire mess was Caroline's doing. I'd heard the rumors about her. A new actress with an unbelievable amount of resources, and a mysterious benefactor pulling strings for her behind the scenes. Now it seemed the rumors were true. Not only had she stolen my boyfriend, but she was also determined to ruin my career. I pulled out my phone, about to call Ashley to discuss our next steps, when another name lit up my screen. It was a familiar number. "Hello, Riley. You finally picked up." A warm, upbeat male voice greeted me. "Jacob, what made you call me?" Jacob was a rising star, a fresh-faced actor who had recently gained fame after his supporting role in a hit TV drama. Just a few months ago, he was still a struggling third-tier actor with mediocre opportunities. I'd invited him to fill in on one of my previous shows, and we'd exchanged numbers. "Are you still looking for people for your new show? Can I sign up? I'll even take the same rate we agreed on last time." I blinked in surprise. "You're interested? It's live-streamed though. And honestly, we've had trouble securing talent, so I'm not sure it'll even happen." I didn't want to give him false hope, especially when I was barely holding things together. "Doesn't matter," he said cheerfully. "Count me in. I'll even help you reach out to some of my friends." I thanked him and hung up, feeling a flicker of hope for the first time in days. Maybe, just maybe, things were starting to turn around. 5. Riley, I'm not trying to bring you down, but even with Jacob and the actress he managed to rope in, we're still way short on people. In the conference room, Ashley switched on the projector. "If we change the format, we might have a shot at getting some of these actors on board." I followed her gaze to the screen, where a list of third and fourth-tier actors was displayed. Most of these names belonged to people who were lucky to land supporting roles, background characters, bit parts, extras with a few lines. Even so, most of them had flat-out rejected our invitations. "Ashley, you know as well as I do, changing the format and bringing in these people isn't going to save the show. These actors had no buzz, no following, no star power. They couldn't draw an audience, let alone generate any media attention. Worse, if they performed poorly or something went wrong, the entire production would be sunk. The network's pushing hard. Let's just get past this hurdle for now. We can worry about the rest later," Ashley said, her brows knit with frustration. I didn't respond. I just looked at her for a long moment before finally giving in. It wasn't that I cared so much about making this show an earth-shattering success. I just didn't want it to flop. The first season had been a breakout hit, and if the second season turned out dull and uninspired under my direction, it would be a stain on my reputation. Right now, my career was already hanging by a thread, thanks to Caroline and the shadowy forces backing her. With all the negative press swirling around us, expectations for the show were already rock bottom. If we failed, it wouldn't just be me who got roasted online. Every actor involved in the show would get dragged through the mud, and the fallout could last months, maybe even years. The social media watchdogs and gossip bloggers wouldn't hesitate to name and shame us, turning the show into a cautionary tale for everyone in the industry. This wasn't just a bad look for me. It was a disaster waiting to happen for everyone. "Riley, big news." The tense atmosphere was broken as my Azrilitant burst into the room, waving her phone in the air. "An A-lister. We got an A-lister for the show." I grabbed the phone, my brain struggling to process what she just said. "Hello." A calm, familiar voice came through the line. "Hi, is this Riley?" It took me a second to place the voice, but when I did, my stomach flipped. "Victoria? Is this really Victoria?" She laughed softly, the same warm laugh I'd heard so many times on TV. "Yes, it's me. You're the director for this season, right?" "Why, yes. I'm Riley. Victoria, I..." Before I could stumble my way through a sentence, she cut me off. "Let's not discuss this over the phone. I'm in town shooting a show right now. When I wrap up, I'll stop by your studio. We'll talk then." And just like that, she hung up. For a moment, I just sat there staring at the phone. Was this real? Did Victoria really want to be on the show? Or was this some elaborate prank orchestrated by Caroline? It seemed too good to be true. But as I thought about it, I couldn't recall any connection between Victoria and Caroline. Victoria had been in the industry for years, with multiple award-winning performances under her belt. She was constantly ranked among the most beloved and respected actresses in the country. Lately, she'd been taking a step back from acting, appearing on a few high-profile talk shows and reality series, always generating buzz wherever she went. She didn't seem like the type to get involved in petty drama. Later that day, a sleek black SUV pulled into the studio's underground garage. Victoria stepped out, tall and poised, her presence commanding the space even before she spoke. Seeing her in person, I finally believed this wasn't a dream. "This way, Victoria," I said, leading her inside. Negotiating the contract was surprisingly quick. Victoria didn't demand an outrageous fee, nor did she have a long list of special requests. "Victoria," I finally asked as she prepared to leave, "can I ask why you decided to join the show?" She paused, her hand on the door handle, and turned back to me with a small smile. "You went to Bright Star Agency to meet with Hannah, didn't you?" Her question caught me off guard. I nodded instinctively, then quickly added, "It's not that we didn't want to invite you. We just didn't think you'd consider it." Victoria's lips curved into a knowing smile. "That's not what I meant. When I saw you sitting on the front steps of the agency, you reminded me of myself when I first came to the city." With that, she pushed open the door and walked out, her entourage following close behind. I stood there in the empty conference room for a long time, turning her words over in my mind. 6. Holding the signed contract in my hand, I headed to Jenna's office to deliver the good news. "What? They're not coming? Fine. Let them stay home. Do they think we're begging them to show up?" The sound of a phone slamming to the floor echoed from behind the door. My hand froze midair, just as I was about to knock. It wasn't often that Jenna lost her temper like this. Clearly, someone had pushed her buttons. Taking a deep breath to steady myself, I reminded myself this was a win for the show. With a major guest confirmed, I finally had something positive to share. "Jenna, I've got good news," I said cautiously as I stepped inside. "Riley, I was just about to call you. What's your good news?" Her voice was calm despite the shattered phone lying on the floor, a clear sign of her earlier outburst. "Actually, you go first," I offered, not wanting to step on any landmines. Jenna gave me a suspicious look. "You're still struggling to get enough guests for your show. Stop wasting time here. I've reached out to a few international actors for you." She instinctively reached for her phone, only to remember it was now in pieces. For a moment, the room fell silent. I quickly called in an assistant, who handed her a backup phone. Jenna grabbed it and started scrolling as she muttered under her breath, "This whole industry is rotten. If they don't want to come, then screw them. No one's begging them to show up. Let's see if they come crying to us next time." It finally hit me. Jenna had been working behind the scenes for me this whole time. She always acted like she didn't care, like she wanted me to figure things out on my own. But in reality, she was more invested than anyone else. "Thank you, Jenna," I said sincerely. She waved me off. "Don't mention it. Now, let me hear your good news," assuming it is good news. When I told her we had signed Victoria, Jenna's mood did a complete 180. "Perfect. With her holding things down here, the others don't matter. Just focus on contacting the international talent I found for you." As I turned to leave, Jenna called out again. "Riley, is something bothering you?" She waved off my attempt to explain. "I know you have your own vision for this show. You're one of the few young directors willing to take risks, and this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Whatever's going on in your personal life, leave it at the door. Make this show the best it can be." 7. Using the profiles Jenna sent me, I started making calls to the international actors. To my surprise, I managed to secure 2 big names. One of them was Kate, a legendary actress with a decades-long career and numerous accolades. The other was Mia, a rising star who had recently become the talk of Hollywood. Both of them expressed genuine interest in the show. They were excited to be part of something unique. With these additions, we finally had enough talent to launch the show. We'd leave room for more guests to join later, depending on how things unfolded. On my way to find Ashley and share the good news, I ran into her at the corner of the hallway. "Ashley," she looked up when she heard my voice, but her expression was grim. "Riley, you need to see this," she said, holding out her phone. I scrolled through her screen, reading the posts one by one in growing disbelief. The updates were from celebrities, who were all known to be friendly with Caroline. Without exception, they had all posted something about our show. "Just got an invite from King of Acting. Unfortunately, I'm already booked. Wishing the show a great success. 5th day on set, and everything's going smoothly. Too bad I don't have time to join this season's hottest show." On the surface, the posts were polite and full of well wishes, but the comments told a different story. Fans of these celebrities flooded the replies, lamenting how unlucky the show was to miss out on such talent. Others speculated that the show must be a sinking ship if so many stars were turning it down. The tone in the comment sections was overwhelmingly negative, with people predicting the show would flop before it even aired. Ashley looked at me, her face tense. This has Finn written all over it. Don't you think? Her suspicion wasn't unfounded. In fact, I was almost certain she was right. Our network had worked with Caroline before, and she'd been perfectly pleasant back then. Her sudden vendetta against us didn't make sense, unless someone else was pulling the strings. And that someone was almost certainly Finn. What's his endgame, though? I muttered, frustrated. I hadn't made a scene when we broke up. He'd taken what he wanted and left, and I hadn't stopped him. Even now, as he flaunted his new relationship with Caroline all over social media, I kept my silence. I hadn't shared a single detail about our past, even when it hurt to stay quiet. I'd done everything I could to preserve some semblance of dignity for both of us. So why is he doing this? What does he want? Ashley sighed. Sometimes people don't need a reason. Maybe he just wants to see you fail. She pointed to my phone, where a call from Finn was lighting up the screen. 8. Hello, Riley. I'm sure you've seen the backlash about your new show on Twitter, right? What do you want, Finn? You know how powerful Caroline is, don't you? She's already lined up several lead roles for me. Let's face it, you never really helped me much over the years. So don't blame me for leaving you. This is on you, you just weren't good enough. Is that the only reason you called? The moment I picked up the call, I realized something. I didn't feel anything for Finn anymore. The arrogance in his voice now only struck me as laughable. He wanted to sound like he'd leveled up, but the truth was obvious. He'd latched onto a sugar mama. And knowing Caroline's track record, she'd likely dump him the moment she got bored. Looking back, I felt ridiculous for letting this guy ruin my mood for the past few days. He wasn't worth the energy. Of course, that's not all, Finn continued, his tone dripping with condescension. I just wanted to remind you to stop wasting your time. Some people are just born better than you. No matter how hard you try, it's pointless. But hey, if things get too rough for you, you can always be my side piece. I wouldn't mind keeping you around. Discreetly. Finn, I said calmly, my phone has an automatic recording feature. There was instant silence on the other end. 2 seconds later, the line went dead. I turned off the screen and stared at the phone for a moment, feeling nothing but regret. How had I wasted 3 whole years on someone like Finn? Was I blind? What now? Ashley didn't bother asking about my personal life. Her focus was on the show as always. It's fine, I said with a shrug. If anything, all these people talking about us are just creating buzz. Even the ones rooting for us to fail are part of our audience. If we put on a good show, they'll stay to watch, and maybe even become fans. There was no time to dwell on Finn or Caroline's antics. I threw myself into work, making sure every detail of the production was perfect. The set design, cast coordination, finalizing the scripts. It was all coming together quickly, thanks to the groundwork we'd already laid. When we went to the airport to pick up the international guests, the media was quick to catch wind of it. Within hours, photos of us with Kate and Mia were all over the internet, sparking a frenzy. Look at this director worshipping all things foreign. Are there no good actors in our country anymore? Exactly. I had a bad feeling about this show, and now I know I was right. What happened to last season's director? The first season was amazing. Now this new woman is just ruining everything. We demand they replace her. Replace her. Replace her. The news of our international guests had leaked before, but most people didn't believe it. They thought it was just a rumor. After all, why would 2 high-profile foreign stars agree to appear on a niche reality show? But now that the rumors were confirmed, the backlash was immediate and overwhelming. The online comments were relentless, with people accusing me of ruining the show's legacy. Of course, I knew some of this outrage wasn't organic. There were plenty of anonymous accounts fanning the flames, most likely orchestrated by Caroline's team. Still, I couldn't let it distract me. The best way to answer the critics was to deliver a show so good, they'd have no choice but to eat their words. 9. The night before the new season of Who is the King of Acting was set to air, Jenna took a few of us from the production team out for dinner. Her intention was to reassure us telling us not to worry too much about the outcome. Live acting was inherently challenging, and with the station's constant pressure, it was normal for the show to have some flaws. Riley, I've been under a lot of pressure lately. If I've been harsh with you, don't take it to heart. Jenna stood up to toast me, her words full of apology. It's nothing. I downed my drink in one go, as if swallowing all my worries. Reflecting on my time at the station, I realized I wasn't as undervalued as I thought. New directors needed to be tested. Who would trust the work of someone with no experience? Even so, looking back, the shows I was given were all legitimate projects. And whether I succeeded or failed, the station had my back. Despite the lukewarm reception of the shows I handled, no one ever criticized me. I had been doing my job for 10 years. Many people don't make it big even after decades. In my 10th year, I was given a hit show, which was a sign of trust. I didn't expect to see you here. The door to our private room was pushed open, and Finn Logan walked in with Caroline Jenna, followed by several well-known actors, all wearing knowing smiles. It seemed they were having a gathering here. Finn no longer avoided public appearances. After the media exposed their relationship, he didn't deny it, effectively confirming it. Recently, many of Caroline's fans have been calling him brother-in-law on social media, and he even acknowledged a few of them. Are we interrupting? Caroline said this, but she didn't stop moving, sitting down in the chair Finn pulled out for her. I turned to see that the waiter was nowhere in sight, likely sent away. What do you want? Jenna directed her question at Caroline, clearly recognizing her as the ringleader. I heard the team from Who is the King of Acting was having a gathering, so I came to offer my congratulations in advance. Caroline played with her hair. Even though my friends couldn't make it to the show, it's not impolite to come and congratulate you, right? After she finished, the actors behind her came forward to toast us, clearly prepared. I observed without reacting. Among them were several who had declined our invitations and stirred up trouble online. Even a fool could see that Caroline was here to mock us. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Finn, you should congratulate them too, especially Riley. After all, you two are old acquaintances. Her words made the actors behind her exchange knowing glances and stifle their laughter. Riley has to monitor the live broadcast tomorrow and shouldn't drink too much. I'll drink on her behalf. Without waiting for a response, my as-relutant took the glass Finn offered me and downed it in one gulp. All right, we appreciate your kind wishes. Thank you for your good intentions. If there's nothing else, we'll take our leave. Jenna's face was grim, but she maintained basic courtesy, greeting the actors and signaling us to leave. Before we left, Caroline called out to me, Riley, I'll be waiting for your good news tomorrow. Don't disappoint me. The laughter of men and women was cut off by the door as we left the hotel without looking back. 10. Today is the first day of the live broadcast. It's 7 p.m. now, and the cameras will start rolling at 8 p.m. Don't be nervous, just do your best. Before the broadcast, Jenna stood on stage, giving us a final pep talk. I had gone over the script countless times, ensuring that every segment would go smoothly. The chosen live performance scenes were carefully selected. All our efforts led to this moment. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start the cameras. Hosts go on stage. Welcome, viewers, to the second season of Who is the King of Acting. The host's enthusiastic opening speech echoed on stage as I watched the cameras from the shadows, fearing any mishap. Riley, don't be nervous. Jenna patted my shoulder, handing me a tissue. Only then did I realize my forehead was drenched in sweat, and my palms were clammy. Thank you. I wiped away the sweat, the coolness of the tissue easing my anxiety. Since I had decided to pursue this format, I had to be prepared for anything, no matter what others said or how they mocked us. If I didn't have confidence in my own show, no one else could help me. 2 hours later, the first episode of the second season of Who is the King of Acting concluded successfully. As the stage lights dimmed, I felt like I was in a dream. Riley, the online reviews are out. Ashley, holding her phone, was beaming with excitement. She had a habit of pinching herself when nervous, and her arms were covered in bruises. Good or bad, during the live broadcast, I avoided looking at the comments to keep my focus. Of course they're good. Our show is trending. 11. Hashtag Victorious Acting. Hashtag Victorious Comeback. Hashtag Kate's Outstanding Performance. Hashtag Kate's Surprise. Hashtag Jacob. Oh my gosh. Kate is amazing. Her crying scene made me tear up. Victoria was fantastic. Even in a cliched role, she brought her own flair. I think MS. S was the biggest surprise. Such young talent with great acting skills. I'm a fan now. Can you stop criticizing Jacob and Jenna? They're trying their best. Yeah, those three are acting powerhouses. The others did fine. The internet was abuzz with discussions about who is the king of acting, with viewership numbers soaring and the show's popularity remaining high. Riley, you did it. Ashley couldn't contain her excitement and shouted. I turned to see Jenna, who had finally relaxed. Despite her reassurances, she had been just as nervous. If the show had failed, she would have been the first to be held accountable. Riley, well done. Jenna's face finally showed a genuine smile. Riley, congratulations. I was checking my phone in the dressing room and saw the online discussions about our show. You did great. Jacob, freshly out of makeup, ran over to congratulate me. Seeing him, I remembered some of the less favorable comments online. Jacob, you were great too, really. Jacob waved it off nonchalantly. It's okay, Riley. I know my acting isn't as good compared to those three. I don't mind the criticism. As actors, we're used to it. This is nothing. After chatting with the actors, I returned to the dressing room alone. Only then did I dare to check the show's reviews on my phone. Although there were a few negative comments, most praised the show's innovative format and rich content. Some even complimented the host's style and my casting choices. My social media notifications were blowing up, with my follower count increasing by tens of thousands since the show aired. I steadied my trembling hands, put my phone down, and stared at the wall art. I had finally proven myself. 12. 3 days after the first episode aired, the show's buzz continued to grow. Online discussions speculated about the next guest, both domestic and international. More people expressed concern for Victoria, feeling sorry for her having to compete in a variety show at her age. Fans flooded the social media accounts of well-known actors, urging them to join the show and help Ashley, even appealing to national pride. The station hadn't expected the show to become such a hit, even more popular than the first season. The leadership allocated more funds to support the production. What about Dylan? He's a big name in the entertainment industry. Should we ask him? Riley, you decide. Ashley excitedly spread a stack of profiles across the table. I've never had so many resources. I was overwhelmed by the choices. Ideally, we should have contacted the actors earlier. Now, finding someone on short notice was a bit rushed, but we hadn't anticipated such a positive response. I had even considered the possibility of the show being canceled if the first episode didn't do well. Riley, a call. It's David, who previously declined our invitation. Prepared, I took the call and asked about his intentions. The man hesitated before speaking. How do I sign up for your show? I'd like to join the next episode. His tone was much more respectful than before. David, please register with my Azrilitant. We'll notify you if there's an opening. I handed the phone back to the Azrilitant, my words formal and polite. He wasn't the first to call. For every person who had rejected us before, there were now just as many eager to join. I understood the principle of quality over quantity. I had considered it when struggling to fill the roster. Those who had turned us down without hesitation were now at my mercy. 13. The night before the second episode aired, we announced the guest lineup. 2 domestic actors known for their acting skills and integrity. Initially, their schedules had conflicted, but they made time after discussing with their agencies. While some online comments expressed disappointment, most were filled with anticipation. As expected, the second episode received rave reviews. 5 minutes before the live broadcast ended, under my direction, the production team played a teaser for the next guest on the big screen. Hearing the familiar male voice at the end of the video, the live chat exploded. Oh my gosh! Did I hear that right? No way. It's him. The production team went all out. I'll watch Who is the King of Acting forever. Does anyone care about Ashley's feelings? I think she's going to be heartbroken again. Even after the broadcast ended and the screen went black, comments continued to flood in. I refreshed my social media, looking for feedback on the show. Sometimes, amidst the jokes, netizens could offer sharp insights. Suddenly, I saw a post from a prominent blogger, the title related to our show. My heart sank as I braced myself and clicked on it. The blogger listed several actors who had definitively declined our show, tagging each one to ensure they couldn't avoid it. Caroline's name was at the top. The night before the first episode aired, she had mocked our show, predicting its failure. The backlash was swift. All the actors who had publicly declined us were now facing a storm of criticism. No amount of fan control could counter the public's enjoyment of the drama. These actors weren't innocent. They had helped Caroline stir up trouble, hoping our show would fail. I wondered if they had ever considered this day would come. As the situation escalated, Caroline suddenly posted a video. The video wasn't of her, but of me and Finn entering the same neighborhood, secretly filmed by someone. Seeing the video, I immediately remembered when it was taken. 2 years ago, the only time Finn had proactively picked me up from work. It was dark, and thinking no one noticed, we didn't take many precautions. Besides, Finn wasn't even a fifth-tier actor back then. This old video had been dug up by Caroline, with a sensational title pinned to her social media. Hotshot director seduces rising actor, leaving the real girlfriend helpless. 14. The video quickly went viral, with Caroline's fans rallying in support. They had been frustrated by the day's events, but now they had a clear target. My social media follower count surged by tens of thousands. I knew these were mostly hate followers. Sure enough, my posts about the show were flooded with negative comments. As a director, I had no loyal fan base. Most people were just watching the drama unfold, with few speaking up for me. In the past, this would have affected my mindset, but now I was too busy to care. The guest teased in the second episode had just landed, and we were heading to the hotel to welcome him. 3 hours into the controversy, after dinner and settling the guest, the online narrative had shifted dramatically. The station's official account had posted 2 videos and an audio clip. During dinner, Ashley had asked if we should address the issue, but Jenna had said not to worry and had taken a few files. The first video showed Finn's final visit to my home, where he humiliated me, and the phone call where he suggested I become his secret lover. The audio was a clearer version of Finn's vile words during the call. I had a security camera in my living room to monitor my cat, given my long hours away from home. Finn knew about this. I guess he was too eager to break free to care, or didn't believe I'd keep such incriminating evidence. Or maybe he thought I'd be too sentimental to expose him. But he was wrong. I had moved on from the relationship, but I wouldn't let the harm go unpunished. This solves half the problem. On the way home, Jenna drove me to my apartment. "Riley, you really need to work on your judgment. How did you put up with someone like Finn for 3 years? I wouldn't last a minute. The term scumbag exists for a reason." I thought this but nodded in agreement with Jenna. "Also, the station has taken a stand for you. Don't respond to this matter yourself." I understood the station's stance. With my rising fame, every move was scrutinized. Responding to baseless accusations would only lower my standing. Like Caroline, whose chaotic personal life and manipulative behavior were now being heavily criticized. As I reached my floor, I saw someone I least wanted to see. 15. "Riley, I'm sorry." The man I once loved knelt before me. Finn was crying, snot and tears streaming down his face, spouting apologies. If only he had thought of this sooner. From his words, I gathered that Caroline's reputation was plummeting, and her backer was pulling out. Caroline, struggling to save herself, had no time for him. The promised lead roles were likely off the table. "Riley, I'm desperate. If you don't help me, I'll never recover." "How can I help you?" Finn's eyes lit up at my question. "I heard you still need guests for the upcoming episodes. Can you let me join? Given our history, if I make it to the end, my reputation will improve." Oh, so he wanted me to pull strings for him? How convenient. "Riley, don't rush to reject me." Seeing my displeasure, Finn's tone grew urgent. "I still love you. I promise never to make the same mistakes. I'll stay with you. You're so popular now. If we pretend to be a couple, We'll both benefit. Besides, you don't have a boyfriend, right? You've been waiting for me, haven't you? Though phrased as a question, Finn's expression was confident. I wondered where he got his confidence from. Ding! The elevator opened again, and a familiar figure stepped out with flowers. Jacob! Riley! Ignoring Finn kneeling on the floor, Jacob approached and handed me the flowers. Congratulations again on the show's success. Riley, who is this? What's your relationship? Finn got up, pointing at us, his eyes blazing. He's my new boyfriend. Finn, you should keep up with new shows. He's the recently popular Jacob. Ignoring Finn, I took Jacob's hand and unlocked my door. The sound of failed attempts to unlock the door echoed behind us. Finn must have thought his fingerprints still worked. Wishful thinking. I had changed the lock long ago. Riley. Jacob suddenly looked shy. Do you really agree to be my girlfriend? The young man before me, with his delicate features, still had a hint of youthful innocence, his ears and cheeks flushed. I wasn't blind. Jacob's subtle advances hadn't gone unnoticed. Especially when Caroline stirred up trouble, Jacob was the first to comfort me, even posting a heartfelt message and declaring he'd quit the industry if necessary. I'll think about it. Seeing Jacob's puppy-like dejection, I arranged the flowers in a vase. Such an adorable young man. How could I not tease him a little?